Hey y'all, so I wanted to talk about MLA format. So every time that you turn in an assignment, it should be in correct MLA format. So I want to go over how is it that you would do that. We'll talk about this in class as well, but I wanted to create a video, especially because I'm not 100% sure we'll have time in class. So when you open up a new Google Doc, it tends to open up as Arial times 11 font. So that's what it looks like. But that's not the correct format. So I'm going to highlight everything, change this from Arial to Times New Roman. So the font needs to be Times New Roman. The size needs to be 11, it needs to be 12. Format, go to line spacing, double. And sometimes this messes it up. I don't know why. So I would just go to custom spacing. It should be 2, 0, 0 and hit apply. So then when you start typing, everything should be right. Every time that you have an assignment, you should have the correct heading, which is name, teacher, class, and date. So I'm just going to pretend this person is Jane Smith, name, teacher, class. And that should include the course title or course number and the section. So I'm just going to do one of the sections for right now. That's a good habit to do regardless of what class you are in, because oftentimes your professor is going to have more than one section of the class. And then the date. And the date should be the due date. Excuse me. So the day that it is due, and it should be day, month, year. So let's say that something was due on the 25th of September 2025, right? So you have your heading on the upper left-hand side, name, teacher, class, date. Then you have a title for your assignment. So let's say this is a rough draft of personal narrative. Notice there is no extra space between the end of the heading and the start of the title. So what I mean by that is there's not this like gap. Then I'm going to go to the next line, and this is where I'll start writing. Okay, so make sure that this is left justified, this is center, and then you go back to left. And then every time that you start a new paragraph, you should indent. Hey, what's that? And then there's a new speaker, nothing, whatever, okay, as I'm going. In the same way that there is no extra space between the heading and the title, there is no extra space between the title and the start of the writing. So we've got this mostly correct. So MLA format is 12 point, Times New Roman font, double spaced, the heading on the upper left-hand side, name, first and last, teacher, class, including section number, date, due date, which is day, month, year. Then you have the title of the assignment. Then you have the assignment. You also need a running head. And a running head is essentially the page number and your last name. So the way that you do that would go to Insert, Page Elements, Page Number, and it's the first option. So again, that's Insert, Page Elements, Page Number, first option. And because you've already done all of the work to make this Times New Roman, it's going to make it that. If this is, let's say that we hadn't changed that, this is Arial times 11, so we would need to change that to Times New Roman 12. So we have the page number, and then before that is your last name. So this is for Jane Smith. So Smith 1. So now every time that there's a new page, it will be the author's or the person's last name, Smith, and the page number. So let's say that you're now ready to turn this in. There's been some confusion about how to turn that in, so I want to go over that. So, file, download as a Word document. And this is for most of the assignments that we do. The larger assignments that are go through a plagiarism checker, I'll show you how to do that. But for right now, just the normal way to turn something in is like that. And then you go to your assignment, whatever assignment you want to turn in. But I need to be viewing this as a student. Sorry. All right, so let's say that I am turning it in for this one, okay? So I go to my assignment, I see all the instructions, start assignment, and then I'm gonna choose a file to upload. I just downloaded the one that I did, so it'll be in my downloads. Now this is a Mac. It'll look a little bit different if it's a PC, but regardless, it will be under your downloads. Choose the one that you just downloaded, open, and then it's there. Do not click the X because that will get rid of it. And then all you have to do is submit assignment. And that's it. And then you can check to make sure, like, oh, is it there? I'm not sure. Let me download it. And then it'll be there again. So again, 12-point, Times Roman font, double space, name, teacher, class, date, title, running head, and submission. If you have any questions on anything, please let me know.